Right, it's time for some more absolute nonsense. Woo! Hi guys, Cowley here from Shin Chow, the show where we try and cook recipes on a budget and try to get back into a regular upload schedule. Yeah, so the reason I haven't been able to upload anything past my last video for my day out in Minnesota was because my Adobe account ran out because I was running out of money. But now that I've got a job, I can do this again and just kind of wrap up the end of the year. It is nearly the start of 2019, and so I wanted to just use this video to talk about what's coming next for some of the videos, and just go into a little bit of a video that I recorded while I was out in Minnesota, California. Well, I recorded it like 3 times. So I did one attempt while I was in New Orleans, one attempt while I was in California, and one attempt while I was in Duluth, Minnesota, that kind of area. And each time I kind of missed out what I wanted to talk about in the video, mainly because it wasn't scripted, and I just kind of kept putting it off. But this is a learning process, obviously, and now that I know what I want to talk about, I can kind of present it. Now that I'm back at home, I've got my walls. New Year's resolution's probably gonna be to get them painted up and make them look a bit nicer, but that's beside the point. So let's get into it. The reason I didn't upload as much while I was over in camp was simply because I didn't have enough time. So obviously I went over to act as the program director for the camp. The camp is called Camp Esquagama. It's in rural Minnesota. It's in the north. It's just about an hour's drive away from Duluth, which is a port city that sits on Lake Superior, and it's just a stone's throw away from Wisconsin as well. Being a program director involves a lot of different aspects of camp, so you've got to look after paperwork in terms of scheduling, making sure all your camp counselors have got an activity to run, as well as helping assign them to cabins so they can look after kids in different age ranges, being kind of like a pastor for them, so checking in with them, making sure that you're mentoring how they develop with the kids, how they look after themselves, how they make sure they're taking care of their kind of like self-care basically, as well as going into some more challenging aspects where you're engaging with the kids on a daily basis, one-to-one. In my position, I also redesigned the oldest camp program, which is the Leadership Development Camp, and that was aimed at 16 to 17, and it's kind of like counselors in training, but it's designed specifically so that you can give them more general leadership skills like out of camp. With that in mind, I designed it to be all about program management, so or like a project basically. And so they learned how to develop situational awareness, how to keep their own self-care in check as well, because that's a huge part of being a leader and growing up and becoming an adult. So I felt that was really important for them to learn, especially given the job that I did before I went to camp, which was helping out with Northamptonshire County Council's mental health learning courses, Learn to Be, and so I kind of took what I learned from that, including mental health first aid, and tried to apply a little bit of that to it, just to give kids a taster, as well as obviously the charity work with Young Minds, and how kind of my opinions reflected on that a little bit, as well as some community project. So it was an opportunity to try and give these kids that have been to camp and enjoy it a chance to own part of camp, as it were, to create a service project. And this year it was building some signs for some different activities, which was really cool. It was great to see the kids get creative and just generally hang out with them a little bit more on that kind of like basis, especially considering this year was a lot more hands off for me, as it were, because I didn't have any cabins, and so being more of an office based job, you tend to kind of drift away from the kids a little bit. But this was a perfect opportunity to kind of get back in with that and just have some fun as well. In terms of this being quite a new role for me, because this is like the first time I've ever had to manage other people, it was a challenge, but I felt it was a really, really good experience. It was a good opportunity to learn, because I tend to be quite, well, I hope that my charisma carries my leadership and people do as I ask them because I'm nice to them, rather than it being kind of like authoritarian and be like, do this, do that, I'm your boss, do this. Obviously that's not going to be successful the entire time, and not due to people being like stubborn or like being kind of rebellious or just not being very nice, but obviously people have their own kind of bits and pieces going on, and it was a learning curve trying to integrate that little bit more flexible authoritarian leadership with a little bit more charismatic lead by example leadership. So that was an interesting challenge this year, and I was really excited to give it a go. Obviously it's not going to work all the time, and it was enjoyable to at least be given the opportunity to lead in this capacity for the first time ever. So yeah, in terms of being given the opportunity as well to travel afterwards, I got to go hang out in Vegas with a couple of the counsellors, because that's what I normally do at the end of these summer camp years. The first place we always go to Vegas, and then from there we kind of like spread out and go our own separate ways. This year I went to California to see my my great aunt's daughter, so my first cousin once removed, I think, second cousin, and her husband and her kids that I've seen 3 out of the 4 years that I've been there, which was pretty cool. Got to make brownies with them, got to hang out. It was a whole bunch of fun. And then I went to New Orleans, which I have been trying to get to for the past 4 years, and it was absolutely crazy. I got some really good footage from there. I got some really good footage on camp as well. We did an escape room as part of staff training that I put together, a little vid that I might post to the channel, might not. And as well as some footage that I tried getting for a recipe, but the lighting was off, so the camera kept focusing in and out, and it's a pretty dark cabin that I was staying in, so unfortunately the footage wasn't great, so I've not put any video together for that. But I did get one when we were in Vegas. I got a video of the buffet at the MGM Grand Hotel, and that was pretty good. Looking back on it now, probably a poor choice to eat that much, but I had fun, so I guess there's that. And then yeah, that's kind of it. Oh, I also got a load of footage on the camp camera, so I put together a promotional video. If you want to see what Camp Esquagama is like, I'll put a link into the description, and go watch the video. It is promo, go like their page. Full disclosure, I have worked with the camp before, obviously, and I am going to big it up, but that's mainly because I've just got that much love for it. I'm not being paid for this. This isn't paid promotion. It's just I have a lot of passion for the camp, and I think it needs more attention, and I think it would be solid for him kind of exposure, as it were. There you go. Pay the camp an exposure. So that's it for now. I'm really glad I got to reshoot this video and talk about camp. Going forward, we got a couple of bits and pieces for New Year's resolutions for 2019. I'd like to have $2,000 saved up, so at least that way I could look towards like maybe get my own place, put together enough money for a new camera, and probably the most interesting one that I'm going to give a go is trying to branch out with my content. So there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people that I follow on YouTube, basically. People like H Bomber Guy, ContraPoints, Jim Sterling, Philosophy Tube, Dan Olson, Lindsay Ellis. They're all really good at discussing different aspects of the left and social activism, basically. And I think that while they're really good and they talk about different media, that kind of thing, there's no real response from the food community, because obviously food and the access to it is a social issue, and I'd really like to try and give that kind of response. I'd like to talk about the catering industry, the cooking industry, and see what we can do with that. And then this January, I'm going to be doing Veganuary, because again, there's a lot of critique that I have of the vegan community and how it's kind of like seen as this white liberal hobby, and the access to veganism as necessity, basically for the planet's survival. So I want to do it from the perspective that I have tried this, and therefore I have the right to criticise it. I know that's a fallacy, but I don't want to give anyone particularly a leg to stand on for critique for myself. So I'm kind of entrenching my position a little bit here. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm very looking forward to seeing what 2019 brings. And yeah, till next time, see you later.